May 1st, 1943. The skies over Nazi Germany were a killing field. American bomber crews faced waves of Luftwaffe fighters, each mission a coin flip between life and death. But on this day, one man would defy the odds in a way that would echo through history. Staff Sergeant Michael Arooth, a ball turret gunner aboard a B-17 flying fortress, would achieve what seemed impossible. 5 German fighters destroyed in a single mission, becoming one of the deadliest aerial gunners of the entire war. The question that haunts military historians to this day: how could one man, trapped in a glass sphere beneath a bomber, hold back the fury of the Luftwaffe? By spring 1943, the 8th Air Force's daylight bombing campaign over Europe was reaching a critical phase. American B-17 bombers, flying deep into German territory without fighter escort, faced relentless attacks from Luftwaffe interceptors. The losses were staggering. On some missions, 20% of the bombers never returned home. The doctrine was brutal but simple. Fly in tight formation, maintain discipline, and trust your gunners to keep the enemy at bay. Each B-17 carried 10 crew members and 13.50 caliber machine guns, turning the aircraft into a flying fortress bristling with defensive firepower. But all the guns in the world meant nothing without skilled men behind them. Staff Sergeant Michael Arooth was not your typical warrior. A quiet, unassuming young man from the 379 bomb group, he had volunteered for one of the most dangerous positions on the aircraft: ball turret gunner. Suspended in a cramped plexiglass sphere beneath the bomber's belly, the ball turret offered a 360-degree field of fire, but zero protection. No armor, no escape hatch. If the bomber went down, the ball turret gunner often went with it. The position required nerves of steel, split-second reflexes, and the ability to track fast-moving targets while suspended upside down thousands of feet above enemy territory. On the morning of May 1st, 1943, Aruth climbed into his turret as his B-17 joined the formation, heading deep into Germany. The target was an industrial complex critical to the Nazi war machine. Intelligence warned the crew to expect heavy fighter opposition. They weren't wrong. As the bomber stream crossed into German airspace, radar stations lit up across the Reich. Air raid sirens wailed. Within minutes, Luftwaffe fighter squadrons were scrambling from airfields across western Germany. Messerschmitt Bf-10-9s and Focke-Wulf FW-190S, piloted by some of Germany's most experienced aces, roared into the sky with one mission: stop the American bombers at any cost. The first waves of fighters appeared as dark specks on the horizon, growing rapidly larger. Then chaos erupted. German fighters dove through the bomber formation in coordinated attacks, their 20mm cannons blazing. Tracer rounds crisscrossed the sky. B-17 shuddered under the impact of cannon shells. Some exploded mid-air, others spiraled downward, trailing smoke and flame. Inside Aruth's bomber, the intercom crackled with urgent calls. Fighters, 12 o'clock high. 2 more coming in from 6 o'clock. Aruth rotated his turret, tracking targets through the optical gun sight. His twin .50 caliber machine guns swiveled smoothly, following a Bf-109 as it broke away from an attack run on another bomber. Then it began. A Focke-Wulf FW-190 screamed toward Aruth's B-17 from below, the pilot's preferred angle of attack to exploit the bomber's vulnerable belly. But this time, the hunter became the hunted. Aruth's turret spun to meet the threat. He squeezed the trigger. The twin 50s roared to life, spewing a stream of armor-piercing incendiary rounds. The burst caught the FW-190 squarely in the engine cowling. Smoke poured from the fighter. Flames erupted. The German pilot pulled up sharply, trying to gain altitude, but the damage was catastrophic. The FW-190 rolled onto its back and plummeted toward the earth below, one down. But there was no time to celebrate. Another fighter, a Bf-109, dove from above, cannon shells walking toward Aruth's bomber. He tracked the target, leading it perfectly, accounting for deflection, speed, and altitude in a fraction of a second. His guns barked again. The 109 shuddered as rounds tore through its fuselage. The German pilot broke off the attack, trailing smoke, diving away in a desperate attempt to reach friendly territory. Aruth watched through his sight as the fighter lost altitude rapidly, eventually disappearing into the clouds below. 2 down. The Luftwaffe wasn't finished. Wave after wave of fighters pressed the attack. The sky was a maelstrom of fire and metal. Aruth's turret never stopped moving. A third fighter, another FW-190, made a high-speed pass from the bomber's port side. Aruth rotated his turret with practiced precision. The gun sight settled on the target. He fired a sustained burst. The rounds found their mark, shredding the fighter's wing root. The FW-190 rolled violently, out of control, and fell away, 3 down. By now, German pilots were taking notice. This particular B-17 was proving deadly, but the Luftwaffe's tactics were relentless. 2 more fighters coordinated an attack from different angles, trying to overwhelm the bomber's defenses. Aruth chose his target, a Bf-109 diving from above. His turret swung up. He fired. The burst caught the 109 in the cockpit area. The fighter's canopy shattered. The aircraft rolled inverted and dove away, clearly mortally wounded. 4 down. The final kill came moments later. Another FW-190, perhaps seeking revenge for his fallen comrades, made a head-on attack run against the bomber formation. It was a desperate, nearly suicidal tactic. Aruth tracked the fighter as it closed the distance at a combined speed of over 500 miles per hour. The closure rate was terrifying. But Aruth held steady. He fired. The rounds walked right into the fighter's nose. The FW-190 disintegrated in a ball of fire, pieces tumbling through the formation. 5 down. Then, as quickly as it began, the attack subsided. The Luftwaffe fighters, low on fuel and ammunition, broke off and returned to base. Aruth's B-17, battered but still flying, continued toward the target. The crew released their bombs, turned for home, and began the long flight back to England. As they crossed the English Channel, the full weight of what had happened began to sink in. Aruth had just achieved one of the most remarkable feats of aerial gunnery in the entire war. When the bomber touched down at its base in England, ground crews rushed to inspect the aircraft. It was riddled with bullet holes and cannon strikes. How it stayed in the air was a miracle. Inside, Aruth climbed out of his turret, his flight suit soaked with sweat, his hands cramped from hours of gripping the gun controls. The crew chief counted the empty brass casings. Thousands of rounds expended. The navigator and bombardier confirmed the visual sightings. 5 German fighters destroyed by a single gunner in a single mission. Word spread quickly through the 379th Bomb Group. 5 confirmed kills in one mission was extraordinarily rare. Most gunners went through their entire tours without a single confirmed victory. The difficulty of confirming aerial kills was immense. Fighters fell from high altitude, often behind enemy lines with no witnesses and no wreckage to inspect. But Aruth's kills had been witnessed by multiple crew members across several bombers. Each destruction was corroborated. The claims were verified. Staff Sergeant Michael Arooth's achievement became legendary within the 8th Air Force. His feat demonstrated what was possible when skill, courage, and determination met in the crucible of aerial combat. But Aruth himself remained humble. In later interviews, he downplayed his role, crediting his crew, his training, and simple luck. He never sought glory or recognition. To him, he had simply done his job, protecting his crew and his aircraft. The impact of gunners like Aruth extended far beyond individual missions. German fighter pilots began to respect and fear the defensive firepower of the B-17 formations. Luftwaffe tactics evolved to minimize exposure to bomber gunners. Standoff attacks with rockets and heavy cannon became more common. The psychological effect was significant. American bomber crews, knowing they had skilled gunners like Aruth in their formations, flew with greater confidence. Aruth's 5 victories in one mission tied him with a handful of other exceptional gunners for one of the highest single-mission tallies of the war. His achievement was studied by gunnery instructors. His techniques, his calmness under fire, his ability to track multiple targets in rapid succession, all became teaching points for new gunners entering combat. But the cost of the daylight bombing campaign remained staggering. For every success story like Aruth's, dozens of bombers were lost, hundreds of crewmen killed or captured. The skies over Germany were unforgiving. The Luftwaffe, despite mounting losses, continued to defend the Reich with ferocity. The air war would rage for 2 more years, claiming tens of thousands of lives on both sides. In the decades since, historians and aviation enthusiasts have studied May 1st, 1943, trying to understand how Aruth achieved what he did. The factors were numerous: his exceptional marksmanship, his position in the ball turret providing optimal fields of fire, the intensity of the German attacks creating target-rich environments, and perhaps most importantly, his ability to remain calm and focused while suspended in a glass sphere with death approaching from every angle. Aruth survived the war and returned home. He rarely spoke of his experiences. Like many veterans of his generation, the memories were too painful, the losses too great. But his achievement on May 1st, 1943, stands as a testament to the courage and skill of American bomber crews who faced impossible odds over the skies of Nazi Germany. The ball turret, that cramped sphere of plexiglass and steel, became a symbol of the air war's brutality. Many gunners never made it home, but on one day in May, in the hands of Michael Arooth, it became a weapon of devastating precision. 5 German fighters destroyed, 5 enemy pilots defeated, 1 American gunner who refused to let his crew down. Aruth's story reminds us that in war, individual acts of courage and skill can shift the balance, even if only for a moment. His 5 kills in a single mission demonstrated what was possible when training, determination, and raw courage collided at 25,000 feet above enemy territory. It was a performance that would be remembered, studied, and honored for generations. The B-17 Flying Fortress earned its nickname through missions like this, through the bravery of men like Michael Arooth, through the willingness of young Americans to climb into those fragile aircraft and face the fury of the Luftwaffe day after day. The daylight bombing campaign was controversial, costly, and brutal. But it was also necessary, and it was won by men like Aruth, one mission, one engagement, one trigger pull at a time. In the end, Staff Sergeant Michael Arooth's achievement on May 1st, 1943, stands as one of the most remarkable feats of aerial gunnery in World War II. 5 confirmed kills in a single mission. A performance that defied the odds and inspired his fellow crewmen. A moment when one man, in the right place with the right skills, changed the outcome of an aerial battle over Nazi Germany.